Hello and welcome back to another FPL transfer tips video. This is the first video back in 2 game weeks. We missed out game week 18 and we missed out game week 19 obviously through the Christmas week. We had midweek fixtures as well, so I didn't have any videos out. But looking back on game week 17, it was a very successful week with all six of our transfers being successful. So Robinson and Hall were two that we recommended to buy in game week 17. Both have been fantastic, not only for game week 17 but since then as well. Game week 18 and 19 they both done really nicely, and mainly Hall, who has picked up a big load of points in the last couple of weeks. So if you bought him, it has been great. For ourselves, 8 Nouri at that point was a sell due to his suspension and everything going on with him. Watkins at that point as well was a sell due to the fact that he was being benched by John Duran. Obviously unable to predict that he would then get suspended for 3 matches, and Watkins has came back into the team. But for game week 17 he did only pick up 1 point, which was nice. Our keep was Cunha, who done really well before. It's just been announced today that he's going to be suspended for 2 matches after his fight with one of the Ipswich coaches, but again, game week 17 a nice 9-pointer. And then Diallo, someone who I didn't really like the look of, has been pretty poor since game week 17. So for 5.4 million or whatever, however much it was, did prefer Rodgers, and Rodgers has been really good for the last couple of weeks. So successful game week 17. Again, like I said, nothing for game week 18 and 19, but we're looking ahead to game week 20 and we have 5 more transfer tips for you. So let's jump straight into it. So we're starting this video off with Ola Aina. He has been transferred in 160,000 times so far this week. Obviously the game week is still continuing. We do have the Arsenal and Brentford game on Wednesday night, so the game week is going to be a little bit longer, so there's going to be a lot more transfers in, you would imagine. 160,000 in for Aina. He obviously picked up a goal not that long ago. He's now 5.1 million as well, and Forest are just one of the best defences in the league at the minute. I think they're sitting in 4th place, or they're sitting in 2nd, I think, actually, in the Premier League. And for defensive wise, they are only behind Liverpool and Arsenal for XG. So very solid defensively. And again, a nice little run, obviously, excluding this Liverpool fixture at home, where you would definitely want to be benching Aina if you do have a nice replacement. The Wolves game and the Southampton game, you really would be expecting Nottingham Forest to keep a clean sheet, especially with Wolves now without Cunha for that game. I think it just gives Forest even more of an advantage when it comes to keeping that clean sheet. So a Forest defender is really good value. Now Milenkovic is another one who is really nice. He's beaten Aina for XG, obviously expected goal involvements as well, and he is cheaper as well, only 4.7 million. So I think you could go for Milenkovic if you wanted. He has 2 goals and 1 assist so far this season. I believe Aina only has 2 goals and 0 assists. His XG isn't too high for someone who has picked up 2 goals. I think he's only at 0.37 for his XG, so not really having expected to have scored the 2 goals that he has done. So if you did want to go for a cheaper option in Milenkovic for only 4.7, I definitely think you could. Or another example would be the goalkeeper in Sells. If you maybe own Flecken, he's obviously going to be out for a while, or you just have a poor goalkeeper, Sells is definitely a really nice pick for, I believe, 4.8 million he's priced at. So 2 really good picks. Aina is still a really nice one at 5.1. He is definitely going to be the most popular Forest defender, but I do think there is some cheaper options that you can go for. Now next up we have Luis Diaz, who I do still think is going to be an avoid. He picked up a nice little haul last week, but the problem with Diaz is you don't know if he is going to be starting. He has 144,000 transfers in this week, which does seem to be the kind of yo-yo case with him this season. He is, when he starts, gets a nice, haul, gets some nice points, and then everyone starts to bring him in, and then he starts to get benched a little bit, coming on off the bench or getting an early benching and not really getting as many points, and then he drops right back down again. So he's only 7.6 million at the minute due to rising price, not in the near future, potentially before the deadline, but still a little while before he rises in price. But again, not really too sure on what his minutes are going to be like. You can see his fixtures as well, they're not absolutely ideal. Home fixture against Manchester United, he definitely could do something in that because of how poor United have been, but again, Nottingham Forest, a difficult fixture. Brentford away from home is now labelled as a red fixture on the FPL fixture ticker, so not easy fixtures for someone who is also a minutes risk. If we take a look at all of the Liverpool attackers, you can see obviously Mo Salah is the most nailed in there with 89 expected minutes. However, everyone else is a little bit more limited. Gakpo being the second most nailed with 74 expected minutes. Diaz only has 60. Now, he does have more than Jota and Nunez, so he is still expected to be one of the front three, but there is a lot of chopping and changing with that, and he is of course prone to an early substitution. So again, difficult fixtures for him over the next couple, and the possibility of coming benchings over the next few weeks. I definitely would be looking to avoid Diaz. Next up, we have another Nottingham Forest player, and it is Chris Wood. Now, again, a lot of us have the likes of Cunha in our teams and really need to try and get him out. Chris Wood's definitely looking like the best striker that you can go for, if you don't, of course, have Isak, who is the absolute number one striker at the minute. I really liking Chris Wood. His form's been brilliant this season. He's probably been, if not the best striker so far in the Premier League so far. 6.7 million for him, a nice cheap downgrade on Cunha, which is ideal, and again, really nice fixtures over the next few. Now, he is outscoring his XG by about double at the minute. I think he has about, I want to say like 11 or 12 goals so far this season, and he has about 6 expected goals, so you know, he is outperforming it by quite a bit, but he does have good fixtures. So again, if you are willing to ignore that Liverpool fixture, again, you probably would want to bench him, but he is definitely capable of scoring in that game because we have seen him score against some of the big teams so far this season. It does just seem to be someone who is outperforming their XG every single match. You know, every game he is getting some nice returns, and he is a good player just to kind of tick along for only 6.7 million for a striker, which is of course really nice. Like I said, Wolves looking a little bit weaker without Cunha in their team. Definitely a team that he could do well against. Again, you would want a backup for that Liverpool game because you probably don't want to start him in that, but he does still have 4.9 expected points, so if you don't have a backup, it isn't the end of the world. Like I said, he is definitely still capable of scoring, but that Southampton fixture in 3 weeks time is definitely one you're going to want Chris Wood for, because you know, he's capable of scoring 2-3 goals in some games. Southampton are, I want to say, the second worst defence in the league, potentially the third worst defence, one of the worst so far this season anyway, and there's definitely potential for Chris Wood to do really well there. So for me, definitely the best Cunha replacement, definitely one of the best strikers you can buy at the minute. Now, next up, we have another striker that is being heavily sold off, and it's Nicholas Jackson with over 200,000 transfers out. Now, for me, I think this is just a lot of people panicking because he was benched during the week, or benched at the weekend for Chelsea's fixture. Now, I don't think it's anything to do with form or anything like that. I think it is just fixture congestion and Chelsea having such a huge squad that it was bound to happen that Jackson was eventually going to get rested, and the fact there's no Conference League either at the minute for Nkunku to get minutes. I think it just made sense for Jackson to eventually get benched. Now, he does still have really nice fixtures, so again, no real reason to bring him out. He still has Crystal Palace, he's got Bournemouth, he's got Wolves. None are, you know, terribly bad fixtures. Chelsea haven't been in the best of form as of late, with a loss to Ipswich and a draw against Fulham, but he is still capable of picking up goals. Now, looking at his stats from the last 5 games, as you can see down the bottom left hand corner, you can see his points. Now, he hasn't been the best recently. He's only scored in one of those matches, which was against Brentford, but when you compare that to his XG against other strikers, he is still sitting in 6th place over the last 5 matches. Now, he has a 1.79 XG, so he has underperformed that, but he is, again, only behind the likes of Isak, Haaland, Havertz, Solanke, Vardy. Now, Jackson has, you know, considerably better fixtures than the likes of Solanke. Haaland, obviously, way out of the price range. So if you've got Isak, Havertz is a nice option. Vardy, probably someone I wouldn't want to be touching. So Isak, Havertz, Jackson in the last 5's probably the front 3 you want to be looking at. Obviously, when it comes to upcoming fixtures, Chris Wood, as we've just mentioned, is a really nice pick. So if you've got Jackson, would definitely be looking to keep him. I don't think it's worth taking him out for, any other striker at the minute. Again, even when you consider someone like Chris Wood, even though Jackson hasn't performed in the last 5 weeks, he is still outperforming him for XG. So definitely not someone I would be selling. I think Wood is more of someone you would bring in for the likes of Cunha if you have Isak, Jackson, Cunha, that kind of thing. But like I said, still really nice fixtures with Palace, Bournemouth and Wolves coming up. Definitely wouldn't be panic selling just because he was benched for one match. Definitely think he'll be straight back in the starting 11 after this week. So would be looking to keep. Don't panic. I think there's a lot of other transfers that you can make right now with the likes of Rodgers being suspended, Cunha being suspended, and just a couple of injuries every now and then. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about Jackson's benching. Would be looking to keep him for the following weeks. And finally, we've got James Maddison. Now, if you do own him, or maybe you brought him in as a Saka replacement, he's probably someone that you'd be looking to sell. It's been one that hasn't really worked out over the last couple of weeks. He's been benched in the last 2 Premier League games, I believe, and the fixtures aren't getting any better. He's got Newcastle at home, he's got Arsenal away, and a very strong Everton defence as well away from home in his next 3. Even if he was starting every single game, it is probably fixtures that you wouldn't want to be holding him for. No more than 2 expected points either over the next couple of games. He's been transferred out 137,000 times already. And, when you just mix bad fixtures with, not even starting, it is just time to sell. There's a lot of good midfielder options at the minute. 7.7 million, you can do a lot with that. So he does look like someone I'd be selling this week. And that wraps up this week's transfer tips video. So we have 2 buys, 1 sell, 1 keep and 1 avoid. Let me know if you agree with it all down in the comment section. We will have our captaincy video out tomorrow and our team selection later in the week for game week 20. Again, let me know what you think of all these transfer tips down in the comments. Do you agree, or is there a couple that you think I have got wrong? Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.